The shocking farewell. In the night Sarah closed the door behind her, Leonardo felt a crushing blow. Like the ceiling had split apart, raining down the wreckage of his dreams, all at once. The clink of her keys, gently placed on the entry table before she walked out, echoed in his ears like a tolling bell. Her final words lingered in the apartment's stillness. "I'm sorry, but I can't go on." They weren't mere parting words. They carried the sting of a painful confession. Everything they had planned for their future was now in shambles. Leonardo glanced at the engagement ring she'd left behind and realized he was suddenly alone, stripped of the hopes he and Sarah had so carefully built together. First cry in the dark, Leonardo sank into his apartment's gloom. Only hours before, it was alive with warmth. Now it felt like a silent grave for screaming memories. As he stared at the familiar walls, he recalled kneeling before Sarah in a bustling public square. The moment she'd first answered "Hi, yes," with a radiant smile in her eyes. He pondered bitterly, was our dream too fragile to endure reality? Or was my ambition never enough for the one I loved most? Bitterness became his silent companion. At night, eating away at his confidence, sowing in his heart a dark seed called revenge. A mark of disgrace, or the birth of anger. Word of Sarah's departure spread quickly among his co-workers at the electronics store. Their pitying glances and offhand remarks only worsened the dull ache in his chest. He felt like a spectacle in a public square, judged by prying eyes pointing at him. What did he lack? Why would she leave him so suddenly? Leonardo sat thinking, am I really worthless, as she implied? Or is there more to this than meets the eye? His turmoil escalated, yet he found in those questions a furious kind of fuel. He repeated to himself, someday I'll make her regret every word. He stood at a fork in the road, succumb to bitterness, or rise through greatness. The encounter that revived a dream. One chilly evening, sipping cheap coffee in a smoky cafe, Leonardo overheard people discussing a tech development contest. Supposedly, winners would gain major funding and immediate notoriety. Their words came as a lifeline. Leonardo, eyes brightening. I've been fascinated by technology since college. Why not seize this chance? A rush of mixed hope and a quiet thirst for retribution stirred inside him. He told himself, if I achieve monumental success, the whole world, especially she, will see I was never aimless. Battling ghosts of the past, the moment he decided to compete, Sarah's memory attacked his mind whenever he tried studying new programming languages or refining cutting-edge designs. At times, he would stop typing, hands trembling, imagining her voice whisper, "You won't succeed, you're chasing illusions." He wrestled with his own doubts. Am I doing this to prove her wrong, or to fulfill my own genuine dreams? I worry my true passion could collapse into vengeful spite. Two desires struggled within him, one driving real innovation, the other driving personal payback. A disruptive coincidence, after weeks of non-stop prep, Leonardo arrived at the contest registration hall. While waiting in line, he saw Sarah walk in beside a man who rested his arm over her shoulder with an air of confidence. Shock nearly forced him to hide. Despite the urge to avoid her gaze, he caught her brief glance. She looked past him as though he were no one at all. Leonardo, quietly, "She's moved on," laughing as if I never existed. Our rage and betrayal built up in his chest. "I'll show her I'm more than who she thinks I am." A mysterious boost, an ominous note as he fine-tuned his contest submission. Leonardo received a cryptic email from an unnamed sender. "Do not stop. There is a spark in your heart that can set you apart. But be warned, if revenge remains unchecked, it first burns the one who carries it." He reread these lines constantly, baffled by the eerie insight into his deepest motives. Was this a rival's trick, or the genuine advice of someone watching him? The message left an unsettling chill, as though it reflected the thunderclouds in his mind. First meltdown, a dark path day after day. Leonardo toiled over problems plaguing his prototype, the submission deadline hanging over him like an executioner's axe. Each time he fixed one error, another emerged. One night, he hurled his laptop onto the couch in frustration. Burying his face in his hands, he shouted, "I can't handle this pressure any longer. Everything's against me." A sympathetic friend approached. "We go through all this." Leonardo's voice shook with raw emotion. "It's not just about winning. I need to prove to myself and to Sarah that I'm not the worthless dreamer she said I was." Signs leading to a fork in the road. Despite the setbacks, he carried on tirelessly. Friends who saw his tenacity rallied to his side. His application gradually emerged as a standout. Rumors swirled that powerful players were scheming behind the scenes to sabotage rising talents. Does the contest devour promising people for the sake of those with money and power? Or is it all just desperate talk? Leonardo feared a conspiracy could ruin him, yet refused to slow down. Night of the final presentation, the decisive moment arrived. Cameras flashed in a crowded auditorium. Contestants braced themselves. Leonardo took the stage, unveiling his AI-driven market analysis app. Halfway through, he noticed Sarah in the audience again, sitting beside the same man. But this time, she looked tense rather than smug. Why is she here? To savor my defeat? Or is some lingering part of her still concerned? He pressed forward, projecting a confidence that stunned the room. Applause thundered at his presentation's end, followed by excited whispers. This could be revolutionary. A double shock. Before the judges announced the results, the contest director spoke. "We have received allegations of potential software plagiarism in some entries, including Mr. Leonardo's." Leonardo felt the blood drain from his face, as though tumbling into a bottomless pit. The auditorium erupted with gasps and uncertain glances. From the corner of his eye, he saw that man beside Sarah with a cunning smirk. Did he set this up? Or is some other hidden force at play? Sarah, too, looked horrified. She recoiled in alarm as the man whispered something in her ear, as though she'd learned a shocking secret. A day of reckoning, results were suspended for an urgent investigation. Chaos and chatter filled the room. Gripping his paperwork, Leonardo demanded an explanation from the judges, who only stated the tip came from a credible source. Backstage, he found Sarah alone, tears welling in her eyes. Sarah, a voice trembling, "Leonardo, believe me, I had nothing to do with this. My fiancé came here at a friend's invitation on the panel, and only now I realize his plan, to undermine anyone who threatened his interests. Leonardo is a worry. So he aimed to destroy my chances. But why? Sarah, it eyes brimming. He was being paid off by another competitor. I was clueless until I saw your face when they accused you." He stood there, torn between rage at the man and sadness at the woman who once shared his dreams. Victory in a crushing blow. After days of frantic review, the panel declared Leonardo innocent of any wrongdoing and awarded him first place. The announcement caused a stir among the media. Reporters lauded him as a rising star. Amid the buzz, he felt both joy and a strange heaviness in his chest. He had triumphed, but something inside remained raw and unresolved. The meeting that clears old wounds, and Sarah's overwhelming regret. When the ceremony ended, Sarah approached with tears rolling down her cheeks. The man who orchestrated the scheme had abandoned her as soon as he was exposed. She looked at Leonardo with a desperate expression. Sarah, choking on sobs. "Leonardo, please, forgive me. I wronged you so deeply when I said you lacked ambition. I never saw your quiet strength. I was selfish and impatient, but today I see how blind I was." She reached for his hand, but he stepped away. Her tears jolted memories of the many lonely nights he had endured, yet he felt no urge to lash out. His self-worth no longer demanded her humiliation. "Leonardo," with calm resolve, "your tears are enough, Sarah. I don't hate you. Truly, I wish you well. But for you, there's no going back. Our story has ended, and each of us walks a different path now." She broke down crying, the painful realization hitting her that what she'd cast aside was gone. She tried to hold on to him, but he gently moved her hands away. Conclusion: I light over burning embers. With the event winding down, the press hurried after Leonardo, eager for interviews. He slipped away to a quiet corner on the building's rooftop, where he gazed at the city lights flickering in time with his heartbeat. He recalled how often he'd whispered, "I want her to regret it." Now he had witnessed her tears, and he felt no hatred in his heart. Leonardo said to himself, "I thought success would make me relish spurning her in revenge. But now I turn her down because I've grown into someone else. I rose to lift myself up, not to grind her down." He remembered every long night he'd battled failure, only to emerge on headlines as an innovative force. There was still an H in him, but he now had the courage to admit that time had moved on. Perhaps Sarah lit the flame of vengeance in my mind, yet it also fueled my will to achieve. In the end, it's not revenge that frees us from the past. It's outgrowing its scars. He let a gentle smile cross his lips, tears shimmering with a mixture of sadness and relief. He realized an important truth. True success only becomes pure once it illuminates the corners of your soul, instead of blinding you with malice. Leonardo smiled and wiped away a warm tear. I may have taken my revenge, but at the same time, I have been reborn, a moral of the story in chasing vengeance. One can easily lose sight of the deeper forces that shape humanity. Our longing for connection, our capacity for growth, and our innate desire for meaning. Sometimes success sprung from bitterness merely wraps our wounds in gold without healing the hurt within. Yet when we transcend the urge to strike back and instead rise above our scars, we awaken to a higher realization. True victory isn't about proving others wrong. It's about outgrowing the darkness in ourselves. Only then can we move forward in peace, having found both forgiveness and the rebirth of our own spirit.